Hello, welcome back to another evening of shared stories and adventures. Tonight we're diving into predictions for the fifth and final season of Stranger Things. Now, growing up watching this show since 2016, I honestly can't believe we're almost at the end. The wait between season 4 and season 5 has been pretty brutal, and I think everyone's been coming up with theories to pass the time. I know I have. So tonight, I'm covering all the predictions I can fit in. From character fates, to battle strategies, to those wild fan theories that might actually be right. We'll talk about Max, Vecna, the upside down secrets, and of course, who might not make it out alive. There's plenty to get talking about, but if you like what I do here and want a way to support the channel, consider checking out my Patreon, linked in the description down below. But for now, grab your favourite blanket, get cozy, like you're settling in for a Stranger Things marathon, and let's begin. So before we dive into what might happen, let's talk about where we left off. Season 4 ended with probably the most devastating cliffhanger the show's ever done, and that's saying something considering we've had multiple seasons of intense endings. Max technically died. She was dead for over a minute before 11 brought her back, but according to 11 herself, Max is gone. Her body's in a coma at Hawkins Hospital, but her mind, her consciousness, is somewhere else. Probably with Vecna, which is absolutely devastating. Vecna himself is wounded, but very much alive. The group managed to hurt him thanks to Nancy, Steve and Robin attacking him in the Upside Down, while Eddie and Dustin distracted the Demobats. But he escaped. And more importantly, he accomplished his mission. He opened the gates, all 4 murder sites connected, and created this massive rift right through the centre of Hawkins. Then there's the 2-day time jump, which showed us Hawkins in absolute chaos. The Upside Down is literally bleeding into the real world. There's this red smoke, or particles, or whatever it is spreading through the town. People are evacuating, the government's involved, and our characters are scattered, but finally reuniting. Joyce and Hopper made it back from Russia, with Murray, Dimitri, and Yuri. The California crew drove all the way back. Everyone's converging on Hawkins just as things are reaching their absolute worst point. And then, in the final moments, Will touches his neck and says, Vecna's not going to stop. That little neck touch, that connection to the Upside Down that's haunted Will since season 1, it's still there. I mean, think about it. The stakes have literally never been higher. It's not just about saving Hawkins anymore. If Vecna succeeds in whatever his plan is, it could spread beyond just this town. The Upside Down could consume everything. But talking a bit about what this all means for season 5, let's start with the biggest question on everyone's mind. Let's cover one of the most heartbreaking cliffhangers from season 4. Max's fate is honestly the thing I think about most when I'm trying to predict what season 5 will do. She technically died. Her heart stopped, her limbs were broken, Vecna had her, and then 11, from however many miles away in the Nevada desert, somehow reached into Max's mind and pulled her back. But here's the thing. When 11 goes looking for Max in the void later, she can't find her. Max's body is alive, breathing, existing, but Max herself, her consciousness, her mind, is just gone. The theory that makes the most sense to me is that Vecna still has her, that whatever part of Max makes her Max is trapped with him in the Upside Down or in some mindscape we don't fully understand yet. It's similar to what happened to Will in season 2 when he was possessed by the Mind Flayer, except this might be even worse because Max isn't even conscious in the real world to fight back. Now, Sadie Sink has talked about season 5 in interviews, which means Max is definitely coming back in some form. The question is when and how. I think we'll see Max in the Mindscape, or Void pretty early on. 11 will probably spend a good chunk of the season trying to reach her, and we'll get these glimpses of Max trapped wherever Vecna's keeping her. Maybe she's in the Creel house in the Upside Down. Maybe she's in some dark void space. Maybe she's experiencing something even worse, like being forced to watch Vecna's plans unfold, or being used as a conduit for his power somehow. The really interesting thing is what state Max will be in when she does wake up. and I do think she'll wake up, probably around the midpoint of the season, or during a crucial moment in the final battle. But will she have powers? Will she be changed by the experience? Will she have some kind of connection to Vecna that the group can exploit? There's this theory that Max might be able to see through Vecna's eyes, or sense his plans because of their connection, which would be really useful, but also probably pretty traumatic for her. Lucas is going to be absolutely crucial to Max's return. His guilt over not being able to save her, his determination to bring her back. That's going to drive a lot of his arc, and when Max does wake up, that reunion is going to be one of the most emotional moments in the entire series. To be honest, I'm not ready for it. I think I'll cry. It's actually pretty tragic when you think about how much Max has suffered. She lost Billy in season 3, spent season 4 processing that grief and guilt, finally started to open up to Lucas again, and then this happened. The show's put her through so much, but Max's fate is really tied to another big question, and that brings us to Vecna himself. Now, Vecna might be wounded, but he's definitely not defeated. The end of season 4 made that pretty clear. He's accomplished what he set out to do. The gates are open, the Upside Down is invading Hawkins, and he's got Max's consciousness, which probably gives him some kind of power or advantage we don't fully understand yet. So what's his next move? According to what we learned in season 4, Vecna isn't just trying to destroy Hawkins, he's trying to reshape the world into his vision. He hates humanity. He sees people as a plague, as corrupt and destructive and wrong. He wants to create a world ruled by predators, by power, by his version of natural order. That's a really ambitious goal, and opening the gates was just step 1. I think season 5 will show Vecna actively spreading the Upside Down beyond Hawkins. Those red particles we saw at the end of season 4, that's probably how it works. The Upside Down isn't just a place, it's like an infection. And Vecna's the source. He'll probably create more monsters, maybe even new types we haven't seen before. He's got the power, the knowledge from all those years, as Henry Creel and as Brenner's number 1, and he's got basically unlimited resources in the Upside Down. What's stopping him from making an army of Demogorgons or something worse? The really terrifying part is that Vecna might not even need to kill people directly anymore. If the Upside Down spreads far enough, it'll kill them anyway. We've seen what that environment does to living things. It's toxic, hostile, wrong. There's also the question of whether Vecna will try to recruit more victims or create more people like him. He was number 1 in Brenner's lab. There were other kids with powers. What if he tries to find them, corrupt them, turn them into allies? That's probably pretty unlikely, but it's interesting to consider. More realistically, I think Vecna's going to focus on eliminating the one person who's ever really hurt him, which is 11. Their final confrontation has been building since season 1, even though we didn't know it back then. Every major villain in this show has ultimately been connected to 11 in some way, and Vecna is the original source of so much of it. Of course, Vecna isn't the only threat. Then there's the question of what exactly the Upside Down wants. One of the biggest mysteries that season 5 needs to answer is what the Upside Down actually is. We've been dealing with this place for 4 seasons now, and we still don't really understand it. The most pressing question is why it's frozen in time on November 6th, 1983. That's the day Will disappeared. The day 11 opened the gate at Hawkins' lab, and for some reason, the Upside Down got stuck there. The cars are from 1983. The houses look exactly like they did that day. Even the buyer's house, which doesn't exist anymore in the real world, is still there in the Upside Down. Nancy noticed this in season 4, and it's been bothering fans ever since. There are basically 3 main theories about why this happened. The first is that 11 created the Upside Down when she opened the gate, which would explain why it's frozen on that specific date. The second is that the Upside Down has always existed but became linked to Hawkins on that date, creating a snapshot of the town. The third is that the Upside Down is somehow conscious and chose that moment for a reason we don't understand yet. Before looking into theories, I honestly hadn't realised how little we actually know about what the Upside Down is. Is it an alternate dimension? A parallel universe? Some kind of collective nightmare made real? The show's never given us a clear answer. What's wild is that the Upside Down seems to be alive in some way. It reacts to things. It spreads like an organism. The vines move and attack. The particles swarm. It's less like a place and more like a massive interconnected entity. Then there's the Mind Flayer. Season 2 and 3 made it seem like the Mind Flayer was the big bad, the intelligence behind everything. But Season 4 revealed that Vecna's been controlling the Mind Flayer this whole time. Or at least, since 11 banished him to the Upside Down in 1979. So is the Mind Flayer just a tool? Or does it have its own consciousness that Vecna's suppressing? Some fans think the Mind Flayer might rebel against Vecna in Season 5, which would be really interesting. Imagine if the Mind Flayer is the Upside Down's true consciousness, and it's been fighting against Vecna's control this whole time. That could lead to this scenario where the group has to somehow ally with the Mind Flayer to defeat Vecna, which would be absolutely wild. There's also the theory that 11 created the Upside Down entirely by accident, that when she first used her powers as a child at Hawkins' lab, or when she opened the first gate, she literally created this dimension from her subconscious fears and trauma. It would explain why the Upside Down is so hostile and dark. It's a manifestation of a scared, abused child's mind. I mean, think about it. That would make 11 responsible for everything that's happened, which would be a really heavy revelation for her to deal with. The Duffer Brothers have hinted that Season 5 will answer the Upside Down questions. And honestly, whatever the answer is, it's going to reframe everything we've seen. Whatever it is, it's definitely connected to 11. Which brings us to predictions about 11 herself. Let's talk about the character who's been at the centre of everything since day one. 11's arc in Season 5 is going to be massive. Her powers are fully restored after the Hawkins lab sequences in Season 4. She's arguably more powerful than she's ever been. We saw her literally bring Max back from death, which is something we've never seen her do before. She's moved entire helicopters, thrown tanks, entered people's minds from across the country. There's basically no limit to what she can do when she's pushed to her absolute limit. The question is whether she'll develop even more abilities in Season 5. Every season has shown 11 learning something new. What if she learns to heal people completely? What if she can enter the Upside Down with her mind? What if she can sever Vecna's connection to that place entirely? The relationship with Mike is definitely going to be a focus. They've been through so much together, and Mike's love for her has literally saved her life multiple times. His speech in the Season 4 finale gave her the strength to fight back against Vecna. I think Season 5 will test their relationship in new ways, probably putting Mike in danger and forcing 11 to make impossible choices about saving him versus saving the world. That's been a recurring theme. 11's personal connections versus her responsibility to everyone else. Joyce and Hopper are also going to be really important for her. She's finally got the family she's always wanted. A mum, a dad, siblings in Will and Jonathan. That domestic stability she experienced in the Season 4 finale, living in Hopper's cabin with everyone safe and together, that's what she's fighting for now. It's not just about defeating evil, it's about protecting the life and family she's finally found. But here's the thing, 11's connection to Vecna is really complex. They're both products of the same program. They both have powers that came from the same source, whatever that source actually is. Brenner called Henry his greatest success before 11 came along. There's this theory that 11 and Vecna are two sides of the same coin. He uses his power to kill and destroy. She uses hers to protect and save. Their final battle isn't just going to be about who's stronger. It's going to be philosophical. What should power be used for? What does it mean to be human? Vecna rejected humanity. 11 embraces it despite everything humans have done to her. To be honest, I think there's a real possibility that 11 might have to sacrifice herself to defeat Vecna. It's the kind of ending that would be devastating, but narratively complete. If she's the one who created the Upside Down, maybe she's the only one who can destroy it. Maybe closing the gates permanently requires her to give up her powers or her life. The Duffers have said that the ending will be bittersweet, and Eleven's sacrifice would certainly fit that description. But I really hope I'm wrong about this one. After everything she's been through, she deserves a happy ending with Mike and her family. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I realise how much weight Eleven's been carrying. She's saved the world 3 times already, and she was just a kid for most of it. The trauma she's experienced is immense. But 11 can't do this alone, obviously. So let's cover some predictions for the rest of the core group, starting with Mike. Mike's been a bit sidelined in recent seasons, but I think season 5 might change that. He's always been the heart of the party, the one who keeps everyone together and reminds them what they're fighting for. His love for 11 is obviously a huge part of his character, but there's more to him than that. Mike's a natural leader when he steps up. In season 1, he was the one organising everything, making plans, keeping the group focused. I think we'll see that side of him return in season 5. With everyone back in Hawkins and the stakes at their highest, the party's going to need someone to coordinate them, and Mike's really good at that. His speech to 11 in the season 4 finale was pretty important, not just for her, but for showing that Mike's finally comfortable, being vulnerable and honest about his feelings. He's grown a lot. There's also the question of whether Mike will be in danger. Every season finale has put different characters at risk, and Mike's been relatively safe compared to others. That might change. I could see the Duffers putting Mike in a position where 11 has to choose between saving him and completing the mission, creating this impossible choice that tests both of them. Mike's also going to be really important for Will, which we'll talk about more in a bit. Their friendship has been strained recently, and season 5 needs to address that. I think Mike will prove himself in season 5 in ways that don't require powers or physical strength. His intelligence, his emotional honesty, his ability to inspire people, that's what makes him valuable. And honestly, the show's always worked best when Mike's actively involved in the plot, rather than pushed to the sidelines. Mike's connection to 11 is crucial, but so is Will's. And honestly, Will might be the most important character in season 5. If there's one character who's been building towards something huge, it's Will. The show literally started with him disappearing into the Upside Down, and it feels like it might end with him playing a crucial role in destroying it. That moment at the end of season 4, where Will touches his neck and feels Vecna's presence, that's significant. Will's connection to the Upside Down has never gone away. He was possessed by the Mind Flayer in season 2. He could feel the Mind Flayer in season 3. And now he can sense Vecna. The show's been very deliberate about maintaining that connection across every season. It's not just trauma or PTSD. There's something genuinely supernatural about Will's link to that place. I think Will might have powers that he doesn't know about or hasn't developed yet. The Mind Flayer chose him specifically in season 1. Why? What made Will special? It couldn't have been random. And when he was possessed in season 2, he had this ability to see into the Upside Down, to sense where the Mind Flayer was and what it wanted. Joyce called it true sight. That's still there. What if Will can use that connection to help the group navigate the Upside Down or anticipate Vecna's moves? What if his connection goes even deeper? There's this theory that Will might have been connected to the Upside Down even before he was taken, that maybe 11 opening the gate affected him specifically because he already had some kind of latent ability or sensitivity. It would explain why the Demogorgon targeted him. It would explain why the Mind Flayer possessed him instead of anyone else. It would explain why he's still connected years later. Then there's Will's feelings for Mike, which the show finally made pretty explicit in season 4. Noah Schnapp has talked about this in interviews, confirming that Will is gay and in love with his best friend. Season 5 needs to give Will some kind of resolution there. even if it's not romantic. Will deserves to be honest about who he is, and to have Mike accept him completely. That coming out moment, or at least an acknowledgement between them, feels necessary. Will spent so much time hiding and hurting between the upside-down trauma and his unrequited feelings. He needs some kind of peace. What's really interesting is that Will's the character who suffered the most throughout the series. He was kidnapped and traumatized in Season 1, possessed in Season 2, sidelined and watching the Mind Flayer attack his friends in Season 3, watching Mike and Eleven's relationship while hiding his own feelings in Season 4. The show's put him through hell, but that might be building towards something. There's this narrative rule that characters who suffer the most often have the most important roles in the resolution. Will started this story. It would make poetic sense for him to help end it. Actually, Will's never really been free of the upside down since that first night at the buyer's house, and I think Season 5 will finally give him closure one way or another. Whether that means he helps destroy the upside down completely, or he finds a way to sever his connection and finally be free, or something else entirely. I mean, the show literally started with Will disappearing. The first scene of the entire series is Will riding his bike home and getting taken. The symmetry of having him be crucial to the ending just makes sense. Will's connection runs deep, but he's not the only one with ties to that place. Now let's talk about the California crew. The California storyline brought us some lighter moments in Season 4, but Season 5 will probably be different. Jonathan's going to have a lot on his plate. There's the whole Nancy situation, which is honestly pretty complicated. He loves her, but they've been growing apart. He's been keeping secrets from her about not wanting to go to college because he feels responsible for his family. That's going to come to a head in Season 5. I think the love triangle will get resolved relatively quickly because there are bigger things to worry about, but it's still going to be emotionally difficult for everyone involved. Jonathan's relationship with Will is going to be really important. Jonathan's always been protective of Will, and he's one of the few people who truly understands what Will's been through. When Will's connection to the upside down becomes relevant again, Jonathan will be right there supporting him. Argyle's role is interesting because he's primarily been comic relief, but he's also proven to be surprisingly competent when things get serious. He helped save Eleven. He kept everyone calm during really stressful situations. I think he'll continue being that grounding presence, the person who reminds everyone to breathe and take things one step at a time. Whether he stays in Hawkins or heads back to California, his friendship with Jonathan has been really sweet, and I hope the show doesn't just abandon that. The California group reuniting with everyone in Hawkins at the end of Season 4 was this great moment of everyone finally being in the same place. Season 5 can finally give us scenes with the entire cast together, which we haven't had since Season 2 really. But the real love triangle drama is happening elsewhere. One of the longest running subplots in Stranger Things is finally going to get resolved. Nancy, Steve and Jonathan have been in this weird triangle situation since Season 1, and Season 5 needs to address it. The complicating factor is that Vecna vision Nancy had, where she saw herself with Steve, married with kids, 6 kids specifically, which is Steve's dream. That vision was designed to hurt Nancy, to show her a future she might want but can't have. But it also revealed something about her feelings. She clearly still has some connection to Steve, even though she's with Jonathan. Steve's growth throughout the series has been really well done. He's gone from this kind of shallow popular kid to genuinely one of the best characters on the show. He's brave, caring, funny, and he's proven time and time again that he'd do anything for the people he loves. His feelings for Nancy never really went away. He's just accepted that she chose Jonathan, and he respects that. But Jonathan's been distant. He's been lying about college. He's been pulling away because he feels trapped by responsibility, and he hasn't been honest with Nancy about any of it. That's not fair to her, and it's created this opening for Steve. To be honest, I've got mixed feelings about this whole situation. Part of me wants Nancy to end up with Steve because they've got this great chemistry and he's clearly devoted to her. But another part of me thinks Nancy shouldn't end up with either of them. She's so focused on her career and her goals. She wants to be an investigative journalist. She wants to expose the truth. Maybe the right ending for Nancy is choosing herself and her ambitions over romance. That would actually be pretty progressive for a show like this. There's also all the theory that one of the guys in the triangle will die, which would resolve it in the most tragic way possible. I really hope that doesn't happen, but the Duffers have said not everyone's making it out alive. So it's possible. If Steve died protecting Nancy or the group, it would be absolutely devastating, but also very much in character for him. He's the guy who throws himself into danger to save his friends. Whatever happens with the love triangle, Nancy's got bigger things to worry about, because Nancy's investigative skills are probably going to be crucial. Nancy's often the one who pieces things together, and I think that'll be her role again. She's got this brilliant investigative mind. She figured out that Barb was dead when everyone else was still hoping. She exposed Hawkins' lab's conspiracy. She uncovered the truth about Creel House and Victor Creel's story. Every season, Nancy's been the detective, and season 5 will probably need that more than ever. Vecna specifically targeted her with that vision in season 4. He showed her his plans, the destruction of Hawkins, everyone dying. Why her specifically? Was it just because she was there in the Upside Down? Or does Vecna see Nancy as a threat? She's smart, determined, and she doesn't give up. Those are dangerous qualities in an opponent. What's interesting is that Nancy's also really good in combat. She's comfortable with guns. She's strategic. She doesn't panic under pressure. When the group split up in season 4 to attack Vecna, Nancy was leading the team that went into the Upside Down. She's the one who shot him. She didn't kill him, but she hurt him, and that's more than most people have managed. I think season 5 will show Nancy finding some crucial piece of information that helps the group understand how to defeat Vecna permanently. Maybe she'll discover something about his past as Henry Creel that reveals a weakness. Maybe she'll figure out how the Upside Down works and how to sever Vecna's connection to it. Her journalism skills, her research abilities, her refusal to accept easy answers, that's all going to be really important. There's also Nancy's connection to Barb, which has never fully been resolved. Barb died because Nancy left her alone at Steve's party. That guilt has driven Nancy for years. Maybe season 5 will give Nancy some closure there, some moment where she honours Barb's memory by saving other people. Actually, Nancy's character arc has always been about fighting for justice and truth, even when it's difficult or dangerous. That makes her a perfect foil to Vecna, who's all about lies and manipulation and forcing his vision onto the world. Nancy's not the only one with special skills, though. Let's talk about the Hawkins crew, Dustin, Lucas and Erica. The kids who stayed in Hawkins had probably the toughest season 4, and that's saying something. Dustin's dealing with Eddie's death, which is going to be a huge emotional weight in season 5. Eddie sacrificed himself to save Dustin and give the group more time. He died in Dustin's arms. And then Dustin had to tell Eddie's uncle what happened, knowing that the whole town thinks Eddie was a murderer. That grief is going to drive Dustin in season 5. He's going to want to clear Eddie's name. He's going to want to make Eddie's sacrifice mean something. Dustin's always been the smartest of the kids in terms of technical knowledge. He's the one who builds things, who understands radio frequencies and science and how things work. That's going to be crucial in whatever plan the group comes up with to defeat Vecna. Lucas is in a similarly difficult position. Max died in his arms. He watched Vecna break her bones and take her mind. The guilt and trauma from that is going to define his season 5 arc. Lucas has grown so much as a character. In season 1, he was the skeptical one, the one who didn't trust Eleven. By season 4, he's the one holding Max as she dies, begging her to stay, refusing to let her go. His determination to save Max and bring her back is going to be really powerful. I think Lucas will be at her bedside a lot in early season 5, talking to her even though she can't respond, refusing to give up on her. And when she does wake up, their reunion is going to wreck me emotionally. Then there's Erica, who's honestly become such a great character. She's got the best one-liners, but she's also proven that she's brave and capable. She helped save Hopper and Joyce in season 3. She was part of the plan in season 4. She's not just Lucas's little sister anymore. She's a full member of the group, and I think season 5 will give her even more to do. The nerds have saved the day multiple times. Their knowledge, their planning, their ability to think creatively about problems, that's won battles. Season 5's final confrontation will probably need all of that. It's actually pretty heartbreaking when you think about how young these kids were when this started and how much trauma they've experienced. But they've also become incredibly strong and resilient. But there's one member of the Hawkins group we haven't talked about yet, and that's Robin. Robin's become such a fan favourite, and I think season 5 will give her some big moments. Her relationship with Vicky is definitely going to develop. The season 4 finale showed them at the donation centre together, clearly into each other, and season 5 will probably make that relationship explicit. Robin's been out to Steve since season 3, but being open about her sexuality in small-town Indiana in the 1980s is really difficult. Vicky represents this possibility of happiness and normalcy for Robin, even in the midst of all this chaos. But Robin's not just there for romance. She's got real skills. She speaks multiple languages. She cracked the Russian code in season 3. She's observant and quick-thinking. Her partnership with Steve has been one of the best dynamics on the show. They've got this great platonic friendship where they support each other completely. Steve helps Robin with her romantic anxiety, and Robin keeps Steve grounded and honest about his feelings. I think Robin will be part of the main battle in season 5. She's proven she can handle herself in dangerous situations. She went into the Upside Down in season 4. She fought alongside Nancy and Steve against Vecna. She's not sitting on the sidelines, and I really appreciate that. There's always this risk with comic relief characters that they get reduced to just jokes, but Robin's funny and competent. The show lets her be both. Possible danger is always there, though. Everyone's at risk in season 5, and Robin's not exempt from that. I hope she makes it through, but with the Duffers promising major deaths, nobody's safe. Pretty cool how Robin went from someone we met interrogating Steve in season 3 to a core member of the group. She's only been here for 2 seasons, but it feels like she's always been part of the team. Robin's skills will definitely come in handy. Now let's talk about the adults who've been fighting this whole time. After seasons of separation and tragedy, Joyce and Hopper are finally back together in Hawkins. They've been through so much individually and as a couple. Hopper died in season 3, spent months being tortured in a Russian prison, fought his way out with Joyce's help, and made it home. Joyce has been fighting this whole time too, first in Hawkins, and then travelling to Russia to save Hopper. Their reunion in season 4 was really emotional, and season 5 needs to give them some time to actually be together before throwing them back into danger. But let's be honest, they're definitely going to be in danger again. Joyce and Hopper are the primary adult protectors of the group. Joyce is fiercely protective of her kids and everyone else's kids. She's the one who never gives up, who follows her instincts even when everyone thinks she's crazy. She's been right every single time. Hopper's got military and police experience. He's a fighter, he's tactical, he's also willing to sacrifice himself for others, which he proved in season 3. I think season 5 will test them both in new ways. There's definitely going to be some focus on them as a family unit with 11, Will and Jonathan. That's what Joyce has always wanted, a complete family. And Hopper's finally got a daughter again after losing Sarah years ago. Those domestic moments, the family dinners, the normalcy they're trying to build, that's what makes the stakes feel real. They're not just fighting to save the world abstractly. They're fighting to protect their family and the life they want to build together. What's really interesting about Joyce and Hopper is that they understand the stakes better than almost anyone. They've both lost people to this fight. Hopper lost Bob. Joyce lost Bob too, the man she was starting to build a life with. They know the cost. To be honest, there's a theory that one of them might die in season 5, and I really hope that's not true. The show already did the fake-out death with Hopper in season 3. Doing a real death now would be absolutely brutal. But the Duffers have said the ending will be bittersweet, and losing Hopper or Joyce would certainly qualify. I think if either of them dies, it'll be protecting their kids. That's the kind of sacrifice that would devastate the audience, but feel true to their characters. But I'm really hoping for a happy ending where they get to actually be together and raise their Mifukaiwaki family in peace. After everything they've been through, they deserve that. Joyce and Hopper aren't the only adult protectors. Then there's Murray. Murray's evolved from conspiracy theorist to actual hero, and he's got skills. His karate training has been played for laughs, but it's also saved lives. He's fought Russian soldiers, he's escaped prisons, he's become this unlikely action hero while still being weird and funny. I think Murray will continue being the adult who works with Joyce and Hopper on the strategic side of things. He's smart, he's resourceful, and he's got connections from his journalism days. If anyone can help coordinate information or find resources, it's Murray. Dmitri and Yuri from the Russia storyline might come back too. They helped Joyce and Hopper escape, and they've got their own reasons to hate the Russian government. Whether they'll travel all the way to Hawkins or provide support from afar, I'm not sure. But they're assets. There are also other Hawkins adults who might play roles. Mr. Clark, the science teacher who's helped the kids before, might provide information or assistance. Some of the parents might finally get more involved once the upside-down situation becomes impossible to ignore. The town rallying together against the threat could be really powerful. One of the themes of Stranger Things has always been community, and how ordinary people can be brave when they need to be. Season 5 might show that on a larger scale. I'd actually love to see the people of Hawkins, who've been kept in the dark or fed lies about what's happening, finally learn the truth and decide to fight back. With all these players in position, let's talk about the actual battle. So what will the final confrontation actually look like? Every season finale of Stranger Things has multiple groups doing different crucial tasks at once, and season 5 will probably take that to the extreme. The pattern's pretty consistent. You've got one team creating a distraction, another team doing the main objective, and usually someone providing support or information from a safe location. Season 2 had the group closing the gate, while others kept the Demodogs busy. Season 3 had the group destroying the Russian machine, while others fought the Mind Flayer. Season 4 had multiple teams across multiple locations, all working toward hurting Vecna. Season 5 will probably be even more complex. We're talking about potentially 3 or 4 different teams, with different objectives, all happening simultaneously. One team might be in the Upside Down, going after Vecna directly. Another team might be working to close the gates or sever his connection to the real world. A third team might be protecting Hawkins from the monsters and destruction. And there might be a fourth team focused specifically on rescuing Max's consciousness from wherever Vecna's keeping her. Music's going to play a role. It's been crucial to defeating Vecna's curse. In Season 4, music was literally what saved Max temporarily and helped the group understand Vecna's weakness. I think Season 5 will expand on that somehow. Maybe there's a way to use music or sound frequencies to disrupt Vecna's power on a larger scale. Technology versus supernatural has been a recurring theme. The kids have always used their technical knowledge to fight supernatural threats. That's not going to stop. I could see them rigging up some kind of amplification system or building a device that projects the right frequencies to weaken Vecna. There's also the question of military involvement. The government knows about the Upside Down now. The situation in Hawkins is too big to cover up anymore. Will the military help or make things worse? Historically in this show, the government's been more of a problem than a solution. Brenner's program created Vecna. The Russian operation in Season 3 opened a gate, but maybe Season 5 will show competent government forces actually helping, or more realistically, the group will have to work around military interference while also fighting Vecna. Let's be honest, the military's probably going to try to bomb the Upside Down or use some kind of brute force solution that won't work and will just make things worse. Time limits are dramatic, so there'll probably be a ticking clock element. Maybe the Upside Down is spreading at a rate where it'll consume the entire country within days. Maybe Vecna's building up power for one massive attack. Maybe there's some celestial alignment or date that matters. The group will need to act fast. I mean, think about it. Every finale has had this urgency, where if they don't succeed right now, everyone dies. Season 5 stakes are already as high as possible, so that urgency will be even more intense. But the strategy is one thing, the location is another. So where will this final battle take place? Location has always mattered in Stranger Things, and Season 5 will probably use some familiar places in new ways. Hawkins itself is now partially merged with the Upside Down. That red smoke or vine stuff or whatever it is has spread through the town. So the line between real world and Upside Down is blurred, which creates really interesting possibilities for the final battle. Characters might move between dimensions mid-fight, buildings might shift between their normal versions and their Upside Down versions. The Creel house is obviously going to be important. That's Vecna's home, both in the real world, when he was Henry, and in the Upside Down, where he lives now. The Season 4 finale showed the Creel house as his base of operations. I think the final confrontation with Vecna will probably happen there. It's atmospheric, it's got history, and it's where Nancy, Steve, and Robin already fought him once. The lab is another possible location. The original Hawkins lab, where Eleven and Henry were experimented on, has been important throughout the series. There's also the newer facility they built in Season 4 to restore Eleven's powers. Maybe there's equipment there that can be used against Vecna. He was created by those experiments, so maybe the technology that gave him power can also take it away. I'd love to see them return to previous, important locations too. The Byers house, which doesn't exist in the real world anymore, but is still there in the Upside Down. The middle school where the kids first played D&D. The quarry where they pretended to find Will's body in Season 1. These places have emotional significance, and using them in the finale would create really nice full-circle moments. There's also the question of where Vecna actually is when he's not attacking people. We saw him in the Creel House Upside Down version, but is that where he stays all the time? Or does he move around? The void that Eleven uses to find people is another important location. That dark water space where she sees people's consciousnesses. Max is probably there with Vecna. The final rescue might require Eleven to go deep into the void, deeper than she's ever gone, to pull Max out. According to what we've learned about Vecna, he exists partially in the mindscape. He's not fully physical, so defeating him might require fighting him on multiple levels simultaneously. Physical attacks in the real world, mental attacks in the void, and maybe even timeline manipulation if the time travel theories are true. Wherever the battle happens, there will be monsters. And speaking of monsters, let's talk about what creatures might show up. We've seen Demogorgons, Demodogs, the Mind Flayer, and Demobats, but Season 5 will probably introduce something new. The Duffer Brothers love creature design, and each season has given us new horrors from the Upside Down. Demogorgons might return. They're the classic Stranger Things monster. We saw them in the Russian prison in Season 4, which means they exist in multiple places. Vecna could potentially summon or create more of them. The Mind Flayer, in its full physical form, hasn't appeared since Season 3. Season 4 revealed that Vecna's been controlling it, using it as a weapon. But what if the Mind Flayer appears again in Season 5, even bigger and more terrifying than before? That massive spider-like form made of melted people was one of the scariest things the show's ever done. I think Vecna might create new types of creatures specifically designed to counter the group's strategies. In Season 4, he created the Demobat swarm, which was different from previous monsters because they attacked in massive coordinated groups. What if Season 5 gives us flying creatures, or aquatic creatures, or something that can move between dimensions easily? The hive mind aspect means all these creatures are connected and coordinated. They're not just random monsters, they're parts of a larger intelligence working together. That makes them way more dangerous than if they were just animals. What's wild is that Vecna has basically unlimited resources to create these things. The Upside Down is massive, and he controls it. He can take its organic matter and shape it into whatever he wants. That's a terrifying amount of power. There's also the theory that Season 5 will give us some kind of final form for either Vecna or the threat in general, like he'll transform into something even more monstrous, or merge with the Mind Flayer completely to become this ultimate evil. I think that's possible. The show's been escalating the threats each season. Season 1 was one Demogorgon. Season 2 was a pack of Demodogs and the Mind Flayer's shadow form. Season 3 was the Mind Flayer fully manifested. Season 4 was Vecna, plus opening the gates. Season 5 needs something even bigger. Whatever monsters appear, they're going to attack Hawkins directly now. The gates are open, the barriers are gone. We might see full-scale monster invasions of the town, with civilians in danger, which would really raise the stakes. Whatever monsters appear, the real threat is still Vecna. But now, let's talk about the theory that's got everyone talking. One of the biggest theories for Season 5 is that time travel might be the key to everything. This theory's gained a lot of traction because of some specific clues in Season 4, and because the Duffers love 1980s movies, many of which involve time travel. The main piece of evidence is the fact that the Upside Down is frozen in time on November 6th, 1983. Nancy explicitly noticed this in Season 4 when she went to her house in the Upside Down and found her diary stopped at that date. Why would an alternate dimension be frozen on a specific date unless time is somehow involved? The theory suggests that either Eleven created the Upside Down at that moment when she opened the first gate, or that the solution to defeating Vecna involves going back to prevent it from being created in the first place. There are a few versions of this theory. One version says that Eleven will have to go back in time to the original gate opening and stop herself from creating the Upside Down. This creates a bootstrap paradox, where everything that's happened only happened because of time travel. Another version says that the group will go back to 1983 to stop Vecna when he first arrived in the Upside Down, before he became too powerful. A third version suggests that time in the Upside Down works differently, and the frozen aspect is actually because time there moves slower or in loops, and they can exploit that somehow. The Duffers have definitely been influenced by time travel stories. They've referenced Back to the Future multiple times. Will's Season 1 storyline was partially inspired by Poltergeist, but also by stories about people trapped in other dimensions or times. To be honest, this theory is really interesting but also worrying. Time travel can be a really cheap narrative solution, if not done well. It can undo all the consequences and character growth, but it can also be done really effectively if the costs are high enough. If the group goes back in time but can't save everyone, or if changing the past creates new problems that keeps the emotional weight. According to fan theories, Will's comment at the end of Season 4 might be important here. He says Vecna's not going to stop, but he doesn't say he won't stop or he can't be stopped. He says he's not going to stop, present progressive tense. What if that's because Will has some kind of knowledge from another timeline, or because he's sensing something about time being wrong? I mean, think about it. If the show ends with the group preventing the Upside Down from being created, does that mean none of the show's events ever happened? Do they all lose their memories? Do they wake up in a new timeline where they never became friends because Will never disappeared? That would be devastating, but also interesting. The idea that they sacrificed their friendship and shared experiences to save the world has real emotional weight, but I'm not sure how I feel about this. Part of me wants a more straightforward resolution, where they defeat Vecna through courage and cleverness and power, not through time travel tricks. But another part of me thinks the time travel theory would explain a lot and create interesting storytelling opportunities. Time travel or not, there's one thing we know for sure. Someone's going to die. This is probably the hardest part to talk about, but let's be honest, the Duffers have said not everyone's making it out alive. They've explicitly stated that Season 5 will have major character deaths, which is different from previous seasons. Sure, important characters have died before. Bob in Season 2, Billy in Season 3, Eddie in Season 4. But those were all supporting characters who were introduced in their death seasons. The Duffers are implying that Season 5 will kill off core characters who've been there since the beginning or close to it. So who's at risk? Steve's the one everyone thinks is going to die. The internet is absolutely convinced of this. He's had this incredible character arc from shallow popular kid to genuinely heroic person. He's proven his courage repeatedly. He's got no romantic relationship currently. He told Nancy about wanting 6 kids, which feels like the writers giving him one last dream to hold on to before taking him away. Every season has put Steve in more danger. In Season 4, he got dragged into the Upside Down and attacked by demobats, nearly dying. It feels like the show's building to something. If Steve dies protecting the kids or Nancy, it would be heartbreaking, but very much in character. He's become the babysitter, the protector, the one who throws himself into danger so others don't have to. That said, I really hope Steve survives. He deserves a happy ending after everything. Hopper's already had a fake-out death in Season 3, which might actually make him safer. Doing it twice would feel repetitive, but Joyce could be in danger. Losing Joyce would devastate everyone, especially Will, Jonathan, and Eleven. She's the heart of the group in many ways. Murray's at risk because he's been in increasingly dangerous situations, and he's not getting younger. One of the kids could die, though I think that's less likely. The Duffers have said the kids who started in Season 1, Mike, Will, Lucas, Dustin, Eleven, are probably safe, but characters like Max, who's already technically died, once could be permanently lost. What if they can't save Max? What if she's too far gone, and they have to let her go? That would be devastating for Lucas, and for the audience. Nancy's in danger, because she's been on the front lines repeatedly. Jonathan could die protecting his family. Robin's brave, but inexperienced in combat. Any of the adults could make heroic sacrifices. To be honest, I really don't want to think about this. The idea of losing any of these characters hurts, but narratively, deaths in the final season make sense. They raise the stakes. They show that the cost of victory is real. The Duffers have said the ending will be bittersweet, and major character deaths would definitely achieve that. I think whoever dies, it'll be heroic. Nobody's going to die randomly or cheaply. It'll mean something. It'll save others, and it'll hurt, which is the point. It's actually pretty devastating to consider which characters might not make it. Like, I've spent years watching these people grow and struggle and become heroes. The thought of saying goodbye is really hard. Whatever happens, it's going to be emotional. But let's talk about something more hopeful. Stranger Things has always been about relationships as much as monsters, so let's talk about how those will wrap up. Mike and Eleven are definitely endgame. Their relationship's been the emotional core of the show. They've been through so much together, separated and reunited multiple times, and their love for each other has literally saved the world. I think they'll get a happy ending, or at least as happy as possible, given the circumstances. Maybe they'll be shown in a flash forward living normal lives together. Maybe they'll just get to be together without the world ending for once. Lucas and Max need their reunion. After everything they've been through, after watching her die and spending the season with her in a coma, Lucas deserves to have Max wake up and be okay. Their relationship has been so sweet and genuine. They broke up and got back together. They've supported each other through grief and trauma. When Max wakes up, that moment needs to be satisfying and emotional. Will's feelings for Mike need some kind of resolution. Even if Mike doesn't return those feelings romantically, he needs to know and accept Will for who he is. Their friendship has been strained, and that needs healing. Will deserves to be able to be himself without hiding. Nancy's love triangle will be resolved one way or another. Whether she chooses Steve, Jonathan, or herself, that storyline's been going on long enough. It needs an answer. Hopper and Joyce finally get to be together as a family. That domestic scene at the end of season 4, with everyone in Hopper's cabin, that's the future they're fighting for. If they survive, I think we'll see them building that life. Maybe they'll get married. Maybe they'll just be together in a more permanent way. Robin and Vicky are just starting their relationship, so I think season 5 will show them navigating that and being happy together. Dustin's moving forward after Eddie's death will be important. He needs to process that grief and find a way to honour Eddie's memory. What's interesting about all these relationships is that they've been built over years of storytelling. We've watched these people grow together, fight together, almost lose each other repeatedly. The bonds they've formed are deep and real. That's what makes the stakes feel so high. We care about these people staying together and being happy. The party's friendship is the foundation of everything. Mike, Will, Lucas, and Dustin started this journey together in season 1, playing D&D in Mike's basement. I think the show needs to end with them together. Still friends. Still the party. Even if they're older and facing different challenges, that core friendship needs to survive. Relationships matter, but so does the bigger picture. So let's talk about the actual ending of the show. After 5 seasons, Stranger Things needs an ending that feels earned, emotional, and complete. So what will that ending look like? I think the Upside Down will be destroyed or sealed forever. The threat needs to be eliminated permanently, not just pushed back for another season. Whether that means closing the gates and cutting off access completely, or actually destroying the dimension itself, the Upside Down can't keep being a threat. The cost of victory is definitely going to be high. We've already talked about possible deaths, but beyond that, there might be other losses. 11 might lose her powers permanently. The characters might have to sacrifice their memories of each other. Hawkins itself might be too damaged to rebuild. The town we've known for 5 seasons might be gone. Whether Hawkins stays merged with the Upside Down or returns to normal is interesting. If they close the gates, does the Upside Down influence disappear, or is Hawkins permanently changed? Maybe there's a new normal where people have to live with the knowledge that monsters are real. Time jump possibilities are really likely. The show's always done small time jumps between seasons. I think the ending will show us where the characters are a few years later. Are the kids in college? Have the adults rebuilt their lives? Did they all stay in Hawkins, or did some of them leave? A flash forward could give us closure on everyone's futures without having to show every detail of their lives. Bittersweet versus happy ending is the big question. The Duffers have specifically said bittersweet, which suggests loss, mixed with hope. They defeat Vecna and save the world, but at great personal cost. That feels right for this show. It's never been grimdark, but it's also not afraid to show that heroism requires sacrifice. I think we'll see the cost clearly, but also see that what they saved was worth it. The party's future is important to me. I want to see them staying friends, even as they grow up and move on to different things. They've been through too much together to just drift apart. Whether they go to college or start families or pursue careers, I hope we see that their bond remains. The question of whether supernatural abilities remain is interesting. If 11 loses her powers, does that make the world safer, or does it leave them vulnerable if something else ever emerges? I think the ending will lean toward hope despite darkness. This show's always been about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. It's about love and friendship and courage defeating evil. Even if the ending is sad in some ways, it needs to affirm those values. Honestly, I think the ending needs to honour both the darkness the characters have faced and the light they've fought for. They've experienced trauma and loss, but they've also experienced love and friendship, and moments of joy. The ending should reflect both. However it ends, there are some specific moments I think we'll definitely see. Let me cover some specific scene predictions. Based on everything we know, here are some specific scenes I think we're going to get. The party all together. One last time is non-negotiable. Mike, Will, Lucas and Dustin, possibly with 11, Max and Erica, all together doing something that callbacks to season 1. Maybe they play D&D one more time. Maybe they ride their bikes together. Maybe they just sit in Mike's basement talking. Whatever it is, we need that moment of togetherness. 11 versus Vecna final confrontation is obvious. These two have been connected since before the show started. Henry was number 1. 11 surpassed him. Their final battle needs to be epic, both physically and psychologically. I think they'll fight in multiple spaces simultaneously. The real world, the upside down, and the void. Max waking up needs to happen. I refuse to believe the show will leave her in a coma forever. The moment she opens her eyes and sees Lucas, that's going to be incredibly emotional. Someone's sacrifice scene is unfortunately likely. Whether it's Steve or Hopper or someone else, there will probably be a moment where someone gives their life to save others. It'll be heroic and heartbreaking. Hawkins' citizens finally understanding and helping could be really powerful. Imagine the townspeople who've been kept in the dark finally learning the truth and deciding to fight. Regular people with baseball bats and whatever weapons they can find, standing alongside our heroes. That would be very Stranger Things. A big musical moment is guaranteed. Music has been so important, especially in season 4 with Max and Running Up That Hill. I think there will be another moment where music plays a crucial role, maybe even multiple songs that are meaningful to different characters. Callbacks to season 1 imagery seem likely. The show loves its parallels. Maybe we'll see Will in the Upside Down again, but this time he's there by choice to finish what started with him. Maybe we'll see Mike reaching out to save 11, the way 11 saved him. Visual and thematic callbacks would create nice bookends for the series. Well, getting to be happy and at peace is something I really want. He's suffered so much. The ending needs to show him finally free of the Upside Down's influence, able to be himself, surrounded by people who love him. Whether that's with his family or with the party or both, Will deserves peace. The final shot theory is fun to think about. What will the last image of the show be? Maybe it's the party riding away on their bikes like in season 1, but older now. Maybe it's a shot of Hawkins slowly recovering, showing that life goes on. Maybe it's 11 and Mike together, just being normal teenagers. Or maybe it's something completely unexpected that reframes everything we've seen. What would be really cool is if the final shot mirrors the opening shot of season 1. The show started with Will at a D&D table with his friends. Maybe it ends the same way, showing that despite everything, the core of who they are hasn't changed. These are just educated guesses, but they feel right based on the show's patterns and themes. Of course, there are some wild theories too. Not every theory is going to be right, but some of the wildest ones are worth talking about. The 11 becomes the new mind flayer theory suggests that to permanently seal or control the Upside Down, 11 has to merge with it somehow, becoming its consciousness or ruling force. She'd sacrifice her humanity to save the world. To be honest, I don't think this one's right, but it's interesting. It would be a really dark ending, and I'm not sure the show would go that far. The "it's all a D&D campaign" theory has been around since season 1. The idea is that everything we're watching is actually Will's imagination, or the kids playing D&D, and the fantasy has become so elaborate that we're experiencing it as real. This would explain some of the more fantastical elements and the game-like structure of the threats, but it would also invalidate all the emotional stakes, so I really hope this isn't true. The Brenner is secretly alive theory persists despite us watching him die in season 4. Some fans think he faked his death again, or that we'll find out he had contingency plans or clones or something. It's pretty out there, honestly. Brenner's story feels complete. Bringing him back would be unnecessary. The multiple timelines theory suggest that there are already multiple versions of events happening, and Season 5 will show different timelines, converging or the group accessing alternate realities where different choices were made. This could work if done well, but it's also the kind of thing that can get really confusing and unsatisfying if handled poorly. The government created the upside-down theory proposes that the upside down didn't exist until Hawkins' lab experiments created it, possibly even before 11 was born. This would make the government responsible for everything. While I think the lab's involvement is important, I don't think they literally created an entire dimension. That seems like a bit much. The other dimension kids theory suggests there are other children with powers in different parts of the world, or even in the upside down itself, and they might show up to help fight Vecna. This could be cool for expanding the universe, but it also might feel too much like introducing new elements too late. The show's always been focused on this specific group in this specific town. Broadening it too much might dilute that. I mean, these theories are fun to think about, even if they probably won't happen. That's part of the enjoyment of waiting for a new season. Everyone's got ideas and predictions and hopes for what they'll see. Some of them are completely wild, and some have real evidence backing them up. It's a fun idea, though, imagining all the different directions the show could go. But wild theories aside, there's still a lot we actually know. So let's talk about what we know for certain about Season 5. Before I let my imagination run too wild, let's ground ourselves in what's actually been confirmed. According to the Duffer Brothers in various interviews, Season 5 will have 8 episodes, instead of the usual 9. The episodes will vary in length, with some being feature-length like the Season 4 finale episodes. That means we're getting a lot of content, even with fewer episodes. There's been a time jump confirmed between Season 4 and 5. The story will pick up a bit after the 2-day jump we saw at the end of Season 4. Everyone's back in Hawkins, and the situation has progressed. Major character returns are confirmed. Everyone from the main cast is coming back. There haven't been announcements about significant new characters for Season 5, which makes sense. This is the ending. It's about wrapping up the existing characters' stories, not introducing new people. Filming updates have been shared periodically on social media. The cast has posted behind-the-scenes photos showing they're working on big action sequences and emotional scenes. The Duffers have said this season is more expensive and ambitious than any previous season. Release window speculation points to sometime in 2025, possibly summer or fall. The exact date hasn't been announced yet, which is pretty frustrating for fans, but production on a show this big takes time. The Duffers have also talked about themes in interviews. They've mentioned that Season 5 is about coming full circle, about ending where they began. They've said it's the most emotional season they've written. They've confirmed that the story will answer the major mysteries, including the Upside Down's nature and Will's continued connection to it. Actually, knowing that they're planning to answer the big questions is reassuring. Sometimes shows end without resolving their mysteries, and that's really unsatisfying. But the Duffers seem committed to giving fans closure. What we know is exciting, but the unknowns are even more interesting. And honestly, that's part of the fun. I've gotten to this point in the video, and I'm just now realizing I've been talking for a while about things that might not even happen. And that's okay. Making predictions is part of the experience of being a fan. The time between seasons, especially this long gap between Season 4 and 5, gives everyone space to theorize and discuss, and imagine what's coming next. Being wrong about predictions is part of the fun, honestly. Half the theories out there won't be right, and that's fine. The enjoyment comes from the speculation itself, from talking with other fans, from getting excited about possibilities. When the season actually comes out and we see what really happens, those moments of "I was right" or "I never saw that coming" are both equally enjoyable. There's a real community aspect to theorizing. Online forums and social media are full of people sharing ideas, building on each other's thoughts, creating elaborate explanations for things. That collective engagement keeps the show alive even when it's not airing. It creates this shared experience where everyone's anticipating the same thing. Anticipation genuinely enhances enjoyment. Studies have shown that looking forward to something can be as pleasurable as the thing itself. All this time we've spent thinking about season 5, imagining different scenarios, hoping for certain outcomes, that's been adding to our overall experience of the show. When we finally watch season 5, it'll be coloured by all these months or years of anticipation. The wait between seasons has been really long, but it's also built up this massive excitement that makes the payoff potentially even better. However it ends, it's been a great ride. Stranger Things premiered in 2016, and it's been a huge part of pop culture since then. The characters feel real. The town of Hawkins feels lived in. The relationships feel earned. Even if season 5 doesn't match every prediction, even if some things don't go the way we hope, the journey's been worth it. I mean, think about it. How many shows can you say genuinely changed television and created this kind of passionate fan base? Stranger Things brought back 80s nostalgia in a huge way. It made Kate Bush popular again. It's launched the careers of its young cast. It's created this shared cultural touchstone where everyone knows what you mean when you reference the Upside Down or Demogorgons or the Mind Flayer. You know, there's something really special about a show that means this much to this many people. Whatever happens in season 5, we'll find out soon enough. But until then, there's more Stranger Things content to explore. Now, there's obviously way more to talk about when it comes to Stranger Things. Character deep dives could be their own separate videos. A detailed look at Eleven's trauma and growth, or Steve's character arc, or Joyce's determination. These would all be really interesting to explore in depth. The Upside Down lore deserves a comprehensive analysis. What are its rules? How does it function? What's its relationship to the Mind Flayer and to Vecna? There's so much there to unpack. The music and soundtrack have been hugely important to the show's identity. From Kyle Dixon and Michael Stein's synth score to the carefully chosen 80s songs, music has defined Stranger Things. An entire video about the show's musical choices would be fascinating. The 80s references and homages are everywhere in the show. The Duffers have cited so many influences, from E.T. to The Thing to Alien to Nightmare on Elm Street. Exploring those connections and how they're woven into Stranger Things would be really fun. Themes and symbolism run throughout the series. Coming of age, the loss of innocence, the power of friendship, government conspiracy, trauma and healing. All of these themes could be analysed in detail. The way the show handles real trauma versus supernatural trauma is particularly interesting. The characters are dealing with both, and the show doesn't diminish either. Definitely more to come on all of that. But I'll save those for future videos. For now, let's wrap this up. To cap this video off, let me just say I'm really excited and really nervous for season 5. This show has meant a lot to me over the years. I started watching it when I was younger, and I've grown up alongside these characters in a way. Seeing their journey come to an end is going to be emotional. There's hope for a satisfying ending, though. The Duffers have known where they're going since the beginning. They've said they always planned for 5 seasons. That means they've had time to structure the story and build to a conclusion they believe in. That's reassuring. Some shows get cancelled or extended or changed, and the endings suffer for it. But Stranger Things gets to end on its own terms, which should mean a better finale. I've got trust in the Duffer Brothers at this point. They've delivered 4 really strong seasons with consistent quality. They understand these characters. They know what makes the show work. Even when I've had minor quibbles with certain choices, the overall story has always been satisfying. I think they'll stick the landing. Emotional preparation for the ending is necessary, though. This is going to hurt. Saying goodbye to characters we've known for years, seeing the story conclude, knowing there won't be more, that's hard. But it's also right. Stories need endings. As much as I'd love to watch these characters forever, the story they're telling has a natural conclusion point, and it's better to end strong than to keep going until it gets stale. There's gratitude for the journey, honestly. This show has been entertaining and emotionally engaging and culturally significant. It's created conversations and brought people together. The cast has been phenomenal, especially the young actors who've grown up on screen. The production values have been consistently excellent. The writing has balanced humour, horror, and heart really well. I'm grateful that this show exists and that I've gotten to experience it. The wait will be worth it, I think. Yes, it's been frustrating waiting this long between seasons, but when season 5 finally comes out and we get to see how everything concludes, all this anticipation will make it feel even more special. We've earned this ending by being patient and staying invested. Whatever happens, it's been an amazing ride. And that, my dear friends, is where we'll end tonight's video. In a future one, I'm definitely going to cover character analyses, more upside-down lore, maybe even predictions for the potential spin-off shows that have been mentioned. There's still loads to talk about in the Stranger Things universe. But until next time, stay safe and sweet dreams.